A racial slur spray painted
A high school are calling for hate crime charges against the people who spray painted.
We as young people in our community feel powerless to do something about this. So my question to you all is, what can we as young people do to create change in our community with regards to this issue? And what power do we have, and what exactly is that power?
So the power really is in your hands. You have the power to not only model what you want. I think just as it was said earlier, the change that we want to be, we need to model it for ourselves. So whether it's in our language, whether it's in our attitude, whether it's in our behavior, that even part of what we want to see in our community, we need to be exemplifying ourselves. Not only that, we have the power to bring in leaders and officials that would be the representation that we desire, and then hold them accountable to the things that they promise within our community. We have the power to use our voice and to speak up and to not only advocate for change, but to demand it and to require it. That we have the power that we can start campaigns, we can start movements, and we can call people out where they bring and embody injustice and hate, and to be the one to speak positivity and to bring the positivity that we desire in our community.
I'll start with the end of the question, and that is, where is the power? And I believe although power rests in many areas, one of the strongest areas that will cause change is in serving. I believe that in serving one another, that we can share on a common level. All human beings understand need, and when we meet each other at need, one serving and one receiving the service, that our humanity becomes realized.
I think from my perspective, what students can do is get involved in opportunities at school, give us their point of view. We have Student Senate, we have equity groups, we have other organizations that we regularly meet with to get that feedback and hear from them. And then so that they can let us know how they feel, what they're seeing. A frustrating thing for me as a principal is much of these types of violations go unreported. So I think that's another way that students can help us. Let us know what's going on so then we can try to help the situation. And then of course, as others have mentioned, model the appropriate behavior yourselves. And I think that the more students that do that, peer pressure is a very powerful thing. And that might be the most powerful thing in getting students to change their behavior. So I think that's an important part of what they can do to make a difference.
So my question to you as a high school principal is, because when I did post these questions on social media, I got a lot of responses, especially from Huntingtown, Northern, some Calvert, and some Patuxent, as well as middle schools, that they knew where to go if they had a problem with, say, racism or just anything, discrimination of any kind, but they didn't know where to go if they had a problem with where they were supposed to go with a problem, if that makes sense.
I hear that often, that two things. Students, some say they don't know who to go to, and that when they do go, they feel like they weren't listened to, or that there was no follow-up. And what I would encourage, I do in my school, is to work their way up the chain of command. I try to keep an open door policy as a principal. I have students come in and see me all the time. I even tell them any kind of discipline issue or anything that happens, if they don't get satisfaction at the counselor level or with their assistant principal, they can always come to me. I also encourage them, if there's any trusted adult in the building that they feel comfortable with, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be someone in administration. Go to them and have them relay the information to us. And I think another thing that happens with that is sometimes there is follow-up, but we're not always free to tell everything that we do in the follow-up. So I think there's a disconnect there. I hear that from students a lot. Well, I reported it and nothing happened, and that's not always the case. Often things do happen, but it's not public, and they don't always know what happened. So I think we need to do a better job also communicating what some of our procedures are when we do follow up in instances like that.
I think where the power comes, as some others have spoken, is from within. And that's a matter of empowering yourself. But it's also a matter of taking stock of yourself. And I want to direct this at white young people in particular, who may not be conscious of the ways that they enact their own implicit biases, and to understand what whiteness means, and to let that enter into the conversation, be willing to set aside their privilege in a discussion with others. Not only that, but to lay aside their whiteness or to use it to act as an ally to people of color in claiming the things that have been denied them. That's one kind of power you have. The other power you have is observation. Don't listen so much to what people say as what they do. It takes people actually being willing to act on those things and being told that, this isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't who we are. To encourage one another to be better. And in doing that, to understand, to observe, to listen, to empower yourself, to support yourself and your allies so that we can become the kind of community that we want to be and that all of us deserve.